While we look at the chart of XRP, optimism is coming back. We can actually see that. As we move in and around with the charts and look for the support, resistance, and the pattern, we do get the understanding like, okay, things are looking interesting. The moves in XRP does look familiar, and if that's true, then we do have these kind of movements coming in soon. And while you understand the fact that, okay, when you take XRP to that of Ether, price action is becoming really, really interesting. Look at that double bottom formation, which is happening at an area where it also gives you a thought process of, okay, there is some reversal pattern forming. And if you actually take a consideration of all this, along with the fundamentals, news and narratives happening, when we are here in the market cycle, imagine when the break to the upside comes, how high we are actually going to go. Macro for the entire market is becoming positive. It's not only the World Economic Forum going through that side, now you have Chinese government going on, along with what's happening in Hong Kong. So one by one, when you actually see these guys getting in to adopt this technology, then automatically those who are looking at different arenas, they're going to come up with their own, and slowly that euphoria is about to enter the market. So basically you need to ask the question like, okay, are you in for this kind of stuff? Or are you actually going for decentralized assets, right? So while you look at Bitcoin, it kind of gives you a narrative, okay, short term. Yes, this is a 1 hour chart, that's short term. It kind of brings back some level of optimism back into the market. And as you zoom out, you kind of see similar pattern on a medium term horizon. And then you step back up, you kind of see like, okay, that's a support trend line, how things are evolving. So if you want to get a better understanding, what you now have to do is to look at what's the volume, right? Now, we don't have so heavy volume here in the market right now. Just look at XRP, it's below 500 million. But we know this is a long holidays, right? While you take into consideration of how the world is looking at the market right now for a lot of these assets, it kind of shows you the optimism is entering back into the market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this crypto world. Right now, while we look at the market, yes, things are evolving. We are looking at some coins trying to take a break. We've actually had our breakout calls. Say here, it's new. If we go back, look at what we posted earlier, we actually had this reversal breakouts and all. And some of these are actually starting to get volume, starting to get momentum. If you actually go back and look at the charts, you kind of see, okay, something's happening, right? Different assets at different times, it's evolving. Now, it's not just Bitcoin or XRP. When the market goes up, you're going to observe a lot of these coins, which are right now starting to move. They will get more volume, they will get more momentum for sure. So if you just look at the first hundreds and say, okay, there's another asset which is just starting to move. There's an asset which is moving. Which one should you choose? First question, what's your risk level? What's your risk tolerance like? Say if you say, I have a ton of risk tolerance, it's fine. Now we are going to look at each asset on a different scale and you want to weigh it. Say when this market actually reverses back up, you need to ask this question to yourself. Are you actually ready to take on this divergence as it forms here? Because if you actually go back in history and see this is what I personally see, right? This is your double bottom formation at a time when the RSI shows you, no, I'm having even higher momentum. I'm not making a double bottom like this. Instead, I'm making a higher low. So you kind of got that divergence level there. And here it's even better. In my opinion, it's even better because you're forming a lower low, but here you're forming a higher low. So that kind of gives you the picture like, okay, this is how the market is moving. So that's just one asset in the market. And if you actually now ask the question like, okay, how high do you think we are going to go? I would say like, okay, there is a probability that this level will act as a resistance which means that if you measure that into numbers, to put that into perspective, that's like a 30% run up on the short term horizon, right? And that's a daily chart. Now you will slowly zoom out and look at the macro scenario and ask yourself, what am I really watching, right? You go back in history, you see something similar here, right? You got a lower low at a time when the RSI gave you a double bottom reversal signal. So now that actually goes into the picture. You kind of get to see something similar if you're able to buy at the bottom here with all these divergence. Now, when the price actually breaks higher and moves higher, that's where you really make your portfolio grow. Now, if you're looking at these assets and you're interested in a lot of different projects, scale down actually. Don't scale too much up, like 10, 20, 30 assets. Look for, if you're trading maybe 10, 15 assets, long-term bag maybe 8 to 10 assets, which is easy to monitor. Market is about to shift. The way the market is moving right now, it does show a lot of optimism. Say, while you actually look at Bitcoin on an hourly chart, it shows you a short-term double bottom pattern forming, breaking through that level of neckline, which is 26,800, just close to that. And if you look at the medium-term scenario, taking at least last couple of months, you actually get to see another double bottom. And this yellow box, which is highlighted there, is the double bottom formation on an hourly. So when you actually zoom out on a 4-hour chart, the market shows you, wait, that double bottom is also playing out here in the macro. So if that double bottom does play out and you reach around 27, 28, now you have to consider another double bottom playing out. And what are the odds for that? If that does materialize, where is the heavy resistance going to be? Somewhere around 28,000. Maybe it's a little bit above that, like the wick here, right? The price can actually go a little bit above, create a notion of I'm going higher and then come back down. So you need to actually think about this. If the price is coming close to this level and you're getting a divergence on a short-term chart, be cautious. Why am I putting that narrative even though short-term you're getting some optimism? Because this is market, it's not always roses, right? You actually look at this candle, it kind of shows you like, okay, the bearish movement was a little bit too much, but the bulls are not that active pushing it and raising this candle in just 1 or 2 candles. It's the 3rd day and we need to see how we close this candle. Most likely, even if we push the price up to this level, on a price action basis, you are still waiting for this level to break, which would be 27,500. So if not, you're still below a major resistance. Now, why is that important? When Bitcoin actually bounces, say for example, it reaches somewhere close to 28,000 from where it is right now, it kind of gives an opportunity for XRP to run higher. And what are we really looking about? A break here, which would be around 13% move, which would actually put you somewhere close to 0.7, 0.8. That would be fine. Why? We had this exact same pattern played out before. Now we are looking for the 3rd time repetition. Why would I say so? You look at the RSI, it kind of gives you a continuation pattern, breaking to the upside. So that's when you look at the chart on a daily while looking at last year and say like, okay, this is how the price moved, and you actually have a base here. From that base, you're trying to push to the upside to test the roof or the resistance. Great. And if you actually take those moves, now the way I actually took this is here you got a 13% move up, after which you moved 13, after which you moved a 43 after all the corrections. So if you actually consider the price is about to go up and then correct back down, that would be a retest of this particular breakout. Great. From there, you'll bounce off and you'll come somewhere close to 0.57. That is actually positive, right? Now, say like again, correct back down, then you bounce. That's where 0.7, 0.8 range comes into the picture. So if we are about to repeat that history, look at the RSI now. It does convey something interesting here because you had that channel which we already broke here. Say the RSI already showed you I'm about to break this trend line resistance, and the price followed that when the RSI retested and bounced. So now we are like, okay, there is something evolving. We need a little bit more patience to see whether we break this level or Bitcoin gets rejected and the market gets that fever. Right now, it's interesting to observe the fact that, okay, XRP against USD is moving up, XRP against Ether is moving up, almost making the same pattern, which kind of makes me feel like, okay, is Ether not moving? Basically, if USDT as a stable coin is showing you similar price action for XRP, then if Ether is showing you that, that means XRP is stronger right now compared to this assets. Especially when you actually look at what all happened before the 2017 run up, at a point, there are times when XRP actually went above and Ether in market cap, right? So right now we need to actually see how this work out. It's going to be a journey from here. It's not like a sprint for sure. It's going to be a marathon because we are here. We're just starting off. And while we actually have already considered all the details about how high this can actually go, if it's actually moving this way, what are the possibilities against Bitcoin, what are the possibilities in US dollar terms, what's happening in the market right now, all this we have already considered, so we are not actually dumping into that. Rather, I'll actually try to remind you one factor, which is the market actually have already broken this level. It's now retesting that level and bouncing off. If you go back in time and actually look at the scenario here, that's something we have seen before. We had this level where we actually broke to the upside. That does look something similar. Fine, it's good, it's great, because you had a resistance turning into a support, then again a support. Great. Now you break that to the upside, but you don't directly go higher. You come back down, you retest that range. And then from there, you slowly consolidate and bounce off. Now, this is where, all that thing with SEC came in and the volatility, the massive volatility, pushed the price back down. But we recovered. That's the fact, because the market actually started understanding, okay, this is about the US markets. It's not just about the entire ecosystem. But yes, US is the biggest target market, if you say so. Because in the payment space, US banks are one of the biggest. So that's the biggest pot of money. And that's what we are missing right now with whatever is happening on the US side of things with the SEC. Great. Now we come back and look at this. If this is where we are, now we literally have another run here, which is going to be the wave 2 micro, and then another one here. So assuming that we can literally do another 10x basic, we are looking for like something close to all-time highs with this level of fluctuation. And most likely that is going to be somewhere close to the wave 2, micro wave 2 of the wave 2 scenario, which we have expressed before. Now, look at the RSI. It is still respecting the trend line. It bounced off. And not only that it bounced off the trend line, it also broke above the moving average. So we are actually using a short-term moving average, where we are using like the 14 for the RSI and the same 14 for the moving average, simple moving average. And it kind of gives you the idea, okay, there is something evolving. Now, why is that really important? This month is about to get to its end, right? We're nearing that candle close, and we're actually observing something positive, because last time when we had similar candle after the run up, right? Not after a drop, after the run up, we bounced off from there. So if we assume the fact that, okay, we've stayed somewhere close to the bottom for a long time, we're bouncing off, and while coming back to that level or a retest, this is the pattern forming, which is actually positive, because it actually diverts me back to a time where the price action actually did something similar. So if you actually go into the charts and then just look for the RSI side of things, for me this looks a lot similar, and that actually goes back to whatever we discussed here, saying, okay, we are here, we have a couple more run to the upside, this can be big, because usually wave 1 the momentum is lower and wave 2 is like the massive fluctuation. We know how things evolve, right? How wave 2 actually plays out in this market. So if you are learning, I would say look back at the history, whether it's the Bitcoin side of things or the XRP side of things. Go back, look at the monthly chart, look at the weekly chart, break it down, look for divergence and how things evolved last time and how it can start this time around. And if it's actually starting positive, you should be aware of that scenario. And that's why we actually try to give you guys things on the right side of it, right? So if you want to follow whatever we are posting here, you can look at the Patreon. The link is actually given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.